So we want to talk to you a little bit about fear. Everything that you fear is based in this illusion that something wrong or bad could happen. The illusion is part of physical reality. It's why you came here. You wanted to forget who you truly are, and then you wanted to sift and sort and expand and have all these experiences and work on these fears. You see, humanity has always had fear. In fact, everything living in physical reality has always had some sense of fear, because the fear is what keeps you in physical reality. If you hadn't had fear about dying or getting injured or some of those things, well, you would have been a little bit too reckless. You would have dipped your toes into physical reality, and you would have gone back into the non-physical very easily and quickly. So the fear keeps you here, and that's great. But the fear is also present in other areas of your life where there is no need for that fear. And the fear, as it turns out, is simply limiting. It limits you from doing what you're inspired to do. It limits you from living the life you intended to live. It limits you from connecting to all those in your reality, all those in your life, to leaning into your life, to doing as much as you could possibly do. And so you have these fears of loss, rejection, death, failure, and all kinds of things. And it all comes down to this idea that you have to protect yourself. Well, that's the old approach to life. And the new approach to life, you realize that you are the creator of this all. And so there's no need to protect yourself from your own creation, because your creation is based in love. Now, if something comes to you and you don't like it, you think it's wrong or bad, well, that's just highlighting a limiting belief. So that belief is limiting. And you really, really, really want to know what your limiting beliefs are, because you don't want to live a limited existence. You want to live a limitless existence. And you're all moving towards that kind of life where you can move beyond your own limitations. And all your limitations, by the way, are self-imposed. They are not inherent by any means. Now, some of the fear and some of the limiting beliefs that you have could have been brought with you from other past lifetimes, or could have been adopted in this lifetime. It does not matter. And as you work to resolve those limiting beliefs by proving them false, all of them are false, and by expanding to new levels of awareness, new levels of expanded versions of who you truly are, well, you add information to those limiting beliefs, and they become less limiting and actually empowering. So you can transmute any limiting belief to an empowering belief. You just have to realize what limiting beliefs you have. And how do you do that? Well, anytime you have a resistant thought where you think something is bad or wrong, or that you need to avoid it, or whatever it is, that resistant thought is evidence of a limiting belief. And if you ignore that, and if you say, yes, that is wrong, I don't like that, that's a bad thing, well, then to understand your limiting belief in a deeper, more nuanced way, you will manifest an event. And that event will bring forth that thing which you are resisting into your reality in some form. It might not be an obvious form. It might be a subtle form. You might see a news article about it, or someone else may have gone through the same thing and you might sympathize with them. But it's all happening for you so that you can find these limiting beliefs. Well, there's another limiting belief we'd like to talk about here that a lot of you have. And we'll say that mostly limiting beliefs stem from this level of unworthiness or dissatisfaction with who you think you are in your reality. And that can only be done by seeing yourself as a victim. You could never feel unworthy if you really realized you were the creator of your reality, because you would realize, I'm the one creating this reality. I can create anything. How could I possibly be unworthy? It wouldn't make sense. So the unworthiness issue comes from this sense that you're not good enough, you're not whole enough, you need to improve in some way, you're certainly not perfect as you are. And this was a limiting belief that's pervasive in your culture. It was taught to you as a young child, and it was taught to you by those who also had that limiting belief and who are also acting in fear. If you happen to be born into a society and a family that had no limiting beliefs, well, they would never treat you in any way or ask you to be different than you are or control you at all. They would realize that any desire or urge, we should say, to control you is coming from their fear. So their fear then causes them to try to control you in some way. And so certainly they did this when you were young, and maybe they're all doing this now. Maybe you're not even aware of it. Maybe you're not realizing how much people want you to be different than you are. And this limits you from finding who you authentically are, or revealing that authenticity to others, because you fear rejection. And you fear rejection because you have this base level of feelings of unworthiness. You are inherently unworthy of living the life of your dreams. You're inherently unworthy of having the relationship of your dreams. You are unworthy of maintaining everything that you've created. You think it might go away. You might lose it. You have this fear of loss stems from unworthiness. And even the fear of feeling good stems from unworthiness. I can't feel good when others are suffering. I can't feel good when all this stuff is going on in my life. How could I feel good? And if I felt really good, wouldn't that mean that I could somehow lose that good feeling and go back to feeling bad? And we say, at the base of all of this is that you inherently do not feel worthy of all that you have and all that you desire. And this unworthiness is the illusion, because in the non-physical, you certainly know that you're worthy. You know that you are connected and cannot be disconnected from source in any way, that you are source, that you are the creator of your reality, and that you're eternal, magnificent, limitless being of love. So we want to bring it down to this idea of unworthiness. Where could that come from? Well, generations after generations after generations after generations before you all felt unworthy. They all felt the same way you did, but they had no recourse. They had no way of understanding that they were worthy, because they would compare themselves to others. They were cast in classes or in stratas. This class that you were born into means that you can only do this. You can't have an education, you can't vote, you can't be prosperous, you can't do anything other than farm, whatever it is. Well, in your society now, we know that that's not true. You can literally have and do anything. There is nothing restricting you other than your own limiting beliefs. And you could believe that you are not smart enough, you are not tall enough, you're not good enough, you're not good looking enough, you're not intelligent enough, you don't have the right body or the right talent or the right attribute to do the things you want to do. We really want to emphasize here that everything about who you are in this life was designed by you. It's your creation. And so who you are, where you were born, the body that you have, all of these things were created by you so that you could live this expression of life. And all of it's worked out perfectly because all of you are here now, whether you're on this call now or listening at a later date, you've all found this information. So can you move beyond this inherent, well, we won't say inherent because it is still a choice, this idea of unworthiness that is not true? How can you move beyond that? And we will say that for each of you, that's an individual journey to come, not to prove or validate your worthiness through outside conditions. If I'm successful, that means I'm worthy. If I have a mate, that means I'm worthy. If I have children who love me, that means I'm worthy. If I have friends, that means I'm worthy. If I am good, that means I'm worthy. None of that is true. You're worthy because you are here. You couldn't be here otherwise. You are worthy because your experience of your life is unique to you. And that experience is added to the tapestry of all that is. So your life and your experience at every moment of your life is of great value to all that is. It is of immense value to all that is. And it's vital to all that is, because your experience, which is unique to you and no one else has ever had the experience you've had or will ever have this experience that in any way, shape, or form is absolutely unique. That expression of source that's flowing through you and experiencing a unique reality is added to the tapestry of all that is. And the tapestry of all that is the definition of source. And so without your experience in this lifetime, that definition, that understanding would be less than it is. That's why you're here. That's why you're worthy. Believe that you're worthy, and then contrast every unworthy thought with this idea of worthiness. You are the creator of your reality. You are valuable to all that is. You are essential to all that is. This is why you're here. And with that, we'd love to talk to you about anything you'd like to talk about. Who'd like to start?